And the big update coming in this hour is that the India-Pakistan DGMOs are currently speaking. These are the Director Generals of Military Ops who are connecting over the hotline. This is the first conversation after the ceasefire understanding. Remember, on the day when the ceasefire was announced, which is on Saturday, that point when the Pakistan DGMO had called our DGMO to communicate that they wanted a ceasefire, it was decided at that point that on 12th May today at 12 p.m. there would be a conversation between the two. And as expected, that conversation right now happening. Shivani Sharma is joining us with more details on this. Shivani, what's really expected from this dialogue? There's no doubt that India is going to raise the fact that on Saturday, right after the ceasefire announcement, you had Pakistan violating the ceasefire brazenly. So that for sure India will raise.
Akshita, this is the first planned DGMO level talks between India and Pakistan after the ceasefire understanding was reached on 10th of May. And this is certainly going to be a strong warning for India's side. Even as we speak, the talks are on. And we know that there is a specific mechanics that takes place under these talks. There are the hotline connections between both the DGMOs of India and Pakistan, and these talks, they were scheduled to be at 12 p.m. today, and as we are speaking, the talks have already started. And Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai, who is the DGM of military operations in India, he is conveying to Pakistan, as was also being understood from the press briefing, that we are on the highest, we are in the highest state of alert on all our borders, and this happens to be the first call after the ceasefire, because we know that on 10th of May, Akshita, that is Saturday, it was decided that we are to the request of Pakistan, because you know Pakistan wanted us to talk about cessation of the operations that were going on. So we, on the request of Pakistan, connected to Pakistan's DGMO at around 3:35 on Saturday, that was 10th of May. And after discussions, we agreed to this ceasefire understanding. This is not an agreement, Akshita, that's what we've been saying. This is an understanding of the pause of firing of all sorts at all the borders. But if Pakistan violates this ceasefire, India will be giving a very, very strong response. That's what we also heard. So now we have to wait and watch and wait for the details that will be divulged at the 2:30 p.m. briefing of the DGMOs of the Army, Navy and the Air Force. But the big news is that the DGMOs of India and Pakistan have connected over the understanding they reached on 10th of May.
Interestingly, at the same time that you've had this DGMO level dialogue taking place, there's also a high-level meeting in New Delhi, which the Prime Minister is holding with the three service chiefs, with the CDS and the NSA. So there's a lot of talk, a lot of speculation, Shivani, on what really the steps ahead will be. And the focus on that, the onus on that will be essentially how Pakistan behaves and what really they put out in the coming days. And based on that, we'll know really how India responds or how things will pan out in the next few days.
Akshita, see, for India, the message is very loud and clear that Operation Sindoor is still on. It is an ongoing operation. This is a new normal. We are ready at all times to retaliate with full force. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, you've seen since Pahalgam attack, he's been into deliberations multiple times. There have been meetings, closed-door meetings. These meetings with the Chief of all the services have been indicative of the fact that the Prime Minister has been taking stock of the operational details of not only Operation Sindoor, but what happened after that. And also, India is into deliberations for a plan ahead after Pakistan breached that trust on 10th of May evening, when several of those drones were barraged into India's different states on the western border. So we need to be very high on our alert. What can be the strategy, both diplomatically and militarily? That is also the subject of these deliberations that are going on. And we see the inclusion of not only the Ministry of Defence out there, but the Ministry of External Affairs, which have also been a part of all these deliberations. So we see Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is continuing with these meetings, with these reviews, taking stock and tracking all details of Operation Sindoor. That is not over yet. This is an ongoing operation, as we've been told.
And the reason we call it ongoing is because if Pakistan resorts to its usual tactics of violating the ceasefire, not holding up their end of the deal, it will lead to a response from India. And that's repeatedly been communicated, Shivani, by our forces as well, who've said that, look, this is an ongoing operation because it's largely hinging upon Pakistan to behave right now, which they didn't on the first night that the ceasefire was actually announced. And despite that, last night, of course, has been calm, which is why right now India is on a wait-and-watch policy of sorts. So at this point, our forces also are on the highest form of alert. Nothing changes on that front.
Nothing changes on our operational readiness front because we cannot trust Pakistan. Pakistan has made it once more very clear that it cannot be trusted or about what happened on 10th of May when everybody was a bit relieved about the ceasefire being maintained. And right there we saw those drones, we saw the shells being fired at multiple locations along the line of control. So each minute, each second, the operational readiness is high. There is alert on the borders and we are ready for any kind of misadventure or for that matter any attempt if it comes from Pakistan. Operation Sindoor is on and we'll be hitting very hard. That's what the Prime Minister has been conveying not only to the countrymen here in India, but he's also told the US Vice President J.D. Vance that if Pakistan hits us, we'll hit it very, very hard. So the operation is on, and Operation Against Terror, mind you, Akshita, has been on after Pahalgam attack. We've been seeing the intense operations against the terrorist outfits inside India, outside India, in Pakistan. The intense operations, the coordinated intense operations to look for the terrorists, the perpetrators of Pahalgam attack, and also all those terrorists who are still in the hiding in Jammu and Kashmir. So operation against them is on, Operation Sindoor is on. Prime Minister has been monitoring this operation personally, and almost every day we've been witnessing these deliberations in the national capital.